Hey guys, here are my thoughts on a book called The Ferryman Institute, the debut novel of author Colin Gigl. I was very happy to receive this from Gallery Books in order to give a review on it. This story surrounds the hidden behind the scenes of how death works in our world. There's the Ferryman Institute, an organization contracted by Death himself that helps to ferry souls from when they pass away to the afterlife. What that afterlife actually is unclear, and none of these ferrymen have any idea what it is. All they do is come up to the person who just died right at the time that it happens, no matter the circumstances, and presents them with the choice to enter a door made especially for them. They must convince that person to leave this world, or else that person will just kind of float around, forget who they are, and be miserable until they just kind of disappear forever. No afterlife, no anything. To not convince a person to leave through their door is a failure for the Ferryman Institute. So one of these ferrymen is named Charlie Dawson, and he's one of the most prominent in the Institute, one of the most prominent the Institute has ever had. He's never failed an assignment in all the years he's been doing this, and he's become distant to the team that he's been working closely with. Every ferryman has a team that helps them to complete their assignments, and he frequently disappears for days and days without telling anyone where he is. He's just so tired of all of this, understandably so, of the death that he's surrounded by, and of the hero within the Institute that he sort of built himself up as and has to live up to. So there comes a day when Charlie is presented with a special assignment that seems to go against everything he's experienced at this job so far, and he is sent to the scene of an imminent suicide. A girl named Alice has decided to end her life after dealing for a while with depression, the death of her mother, a recent breakup to someone she'd been with for years, and anorexia. We sort of get to see the events from her POV that lead up to this decision that she's made, and then the moment where Charlie is sent to be her ferryman into the afterlife. But there are apparently different plans in place for Charlie and for Alice, because Charlie, at that moment on the special assignment that's been handed to him, is given a choice that he's never had before, and makes a decision that he doesn't even think twice about. I found the premise for this to be the strongest aspect of it. The reason I picked this up was to see how this author would take on the idea of an organization that helps to ferry souls after death, and following how that organization worked, learning how it was formed, the mythology of it was fascinating to read and a lot of fun. It's imaginative, but plays on and combines a lot of old stories and mythologies and bits of history in a way that really mixes things up and kept me interested. And the ferrymen themselves and how their process is carried out, this was well done in that it didn't call too much attention to what the afterlife might actually be. At first, it seems the author might have just wanted to not step on any toes with that aspect, not fall into line with any one belief system, but it actually does feel rather attentive and amiable in its approach to this. We get to see Charlie specifically talk people into going through these doors into the afterlife without specifically telling them what the afterlife is, in a way that respects and celebrates life and the human connection that he has with them, and makes itself clear that it's within the best interest of the dead person to do so, to go through this door. What awaits them through those doors is left up to the deceased to discover and for us to imagine, and I appreciated that aspect of it. And Charlie as a character was enjoyable to read about. This is not an incompetent character by any means. He knows what he's doing, and it's interesting to see him engage with people. He's more than a bit down on his life situation, or lack of life situation, and to see his progress throughout this book is really satisfying. It's a different sort of character growth that I think really worked for him. I won't get into it much more than that, as not to spoil anything, but then Alice, on the other hand, the other main character, is a bit problematic in how she's portrayed. I kept getting really annoyed at her before I realized it wasn't entirely her fault. A lot of what she did felt like service to the plot and not to herself or her actual personality, and any progress she had was unfortunately undermined by the sort of off-kilter romance subplot. I think that finding some sort of deep connection with other people or one specific person can definitely help you on your road to recovery from depression, but Alice is literally on the brink of suicide. The author gives us this feeling that she could possibly do it at any second, that she's itching to do it at all times, but then she's kind of put on this path of a miraculous return to proper health by this romance, and only this romance, so that it feels like she's a puppet to the author, someone whose mental illness is a quirk rather than a deep-seated issue that actually needs to be resolved by the character themselves. So that was a bit disappointing and kind of dragged the book out for me. Mixed in with that, though, was a sort of thriller aspect that I wasn't expecting. It just did help to pick up the pace, albeit sometimes in slightly ridiculous ways. I think Colin Gigl just really wanted to write a shootout and a car chase, even if they didn't really fit into the tone of the book. And actually, as far as the tone goes, this book was far closer to an action or comedy than I thought it would be. A lot of the author's humor does work, but then, as in a lot of cases when it comes to books that try to primarily be funny, a lot of it doesn't work. I think that the humor works best when the author's not trying too hard, and it's obvious when he is trying too hard. At points, it's natural, though, and I give him credit for making me chuckle several times. I think this book really could have delved further into the ideas and themes that it brought up surrounding death, Charlie's job, Alice's mental state, and the Ferryman Institute's history and its implications, but it doesn't, in a favor of a more fast-paced, fun story with a bit of mystery, thriller, and romance thrown in. There's even an over-the-top, vengeful bad guy in the mix. So while I think this could have been better, I did enjoy it for what it was once I got into it, and appreciated the brief moments where Colin Gigl really does dig deeper into the situations and premise he's creating here. It's not exactly what I was hoping for or expecting, but I do recommend it if you're interested in a read like that. So that's everything I really have to say about it. It's got its good points and its bad points, and it was a bit of a mixed bag for me, and a bit of a middle-of-the-road kind of thing. So glad I gave it a shot, and I think I would definitely give anything else that Colin Gigl wrote in the future a shot as well, to see if he kind of grows as an author. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you've read this, if you've come across this, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you later with more.